Hello everyone, this is Evergreen back with the Vanilla Minecraft series. Now, if you missed last episode, we started our little tower over here, and we got the first floor done, and we'll soon be able to build up onto the second floor. To start though, I'm definitely going to need to make some sort of staircase, some sort of winding staircase, that way I can get up floors. I hope everyone's day has been really good. To be honest, mine hasn't been really great. I just didn't really have a good day. I had an 8-hour shift at work, and I am exhausted, first of all. And the people at work weren't especially kind today, which sucks, but it's a fact of life when you work retail. And having to get up at 6 a.m. to go in sucks. It just sucks. There's no other way to put it. But what else am I supposed to do? So, at the very least, I can decompress and play Minecraft. There was also my FNAF 3 got posted, and it's not exactly doing great so far, which, maybe that'll change, but I don't know. And I mentioned in maybe a couple days ago that I was going to go see the Geminid meteor shower. Nope. No. That ended up not working out either. Because sometimes things don't work out. The reason why is because this staircase is awful. I'm just not doing great, you guys. I'm gonna be real. Today is not a great day for me. The reason why the Gemini meteor shower doesn't work out is because it's gonna be super cloudy tonight, and it's gonna be a little rainy. So I'm not able to go see it because I wouldn't see anything except for rain and clouds. Once a year, unique meteorological effect that I've never gotten the privilege to see, and I can't see it. So, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what this staircase should be. I've got no idea. I'm at a complete loss, you guys. I'm very tired of everything, and part of me didn't even want to get on to record today. Part of me just wanted to give up and not have to deal with any of this anymore. But here I am, recording anyway, even though I know that probably one or two people will see this, and it won't be making exactly top lists for people's favorite video on the internet. But here I am anyway. Why? Why? I think that's a very valid question of why. And I think the answer is because that's the point of this series. The point of this series isn't that every single day is perfect and amazing and everything goes to plan and nothing bad ever happens. Sometimes things don't work out, and there's nothing you can do to change that. And it sucks that that's the reality, but it's better to live in reality than a fantasy. So, I'll say this to anyone out there: if you're also having a bad day, I hope that we can just be having a bad day together. And that's fine. Sometimes that's what life needs to be, is a not great, super great time. Sometimes it's better that way, to be reminded of that. But I feel like, no, you know what? I was going to say, hey, I don't want to be too pessimistic today, but no. What's wrong with pessimism? Last video we talked about my sentimentality, but Today, maybe we'll talk about pessimism and how having a realistic worldview sometimes isn't hurtful. It's nice to be positive, and it's fun to be positive. And you can enjoy your life a lot more that way, probably. But if you are realistic about things, then you can never be disappointed. And the good moments get you really well, and the bad moments can't upset you as much. So, maybe that's the lesson for today's video, huh? I don't know. Not exactly a cheerful guy at the moment. But man, this content sucks. This content sucks, man. This really blows, doesn't it? I'm sure everyone fully, for maybe like the 2 people that watch this series, I'm sorry to disappoint today, but I'm not my usual cheery self. And that is, the reality of not just life, but mental illness, which I've expressed before that I extremely suffer from, and I can feel a lot of those effects starting to affect me now. But that's the point of this series, is for a safe space to vent about what we're feeling. To go back to a topic that we haven't touched on since the first episode, there's that special person out there for me that I really like. And it's starting to become clear to me day by day that they don't think of me. Not even being a pessimist about it, but they just don't. I think in my past, a lot of my different crushes that I've had have worked out pretty well. I don't know necessarily why that is, whether it's just because I was young or because, I don't know, maybe I was a really cute 13-year-old. Maybe I was a really cute teenager for other teenagers, but most of my crushes ended up working out pretty good most of the time. And I can only think of like 1 or 2 scenarios where the person didn't like me back, and even then, it was a minor crush that wasn't anything serious. All of my major crushes have been with people that have reciprocated that feeling back to me. And I've been very, very lucky in that regard. I know that not everyone is as lucky. But, damn, it hurts. It hurts. And if you're going through that, then I'm sorry. Because I know what it's like. And it is hell. Having this infatuation with another person that couldn't be bothered to think about you more than twice a day. If even at all. Just wanting more than anything to be the center of that person's world because they're the center of your world. But realizing that every conversation that you have with them is started by you. Every exchange started by you. Every moment that you share is started by you. You're the one forcing that connection in the first place. And that doesn't make it real, despite how real that your feelings are. And damn, does that suck. Because I wish more than anything that that person felt the same way. They are an amazing, amazing person. Just the funniest, most amazing, compelling, interesting, brave, beautiful person I have seen. And to know that they don't view me that same way sucks. And I can't stop myself from, no matter how much I know that, no matter how much I know that facts, it doesn't stop my heart from racing whenever I see their name pop up in my notifications, or wanting to send every single funny thing I see to her, or share different little facts about my life randomly, and that also really sucks. It's like anytime I'm in an interaction with this person, my mind goes blank and I just behave a certain way that I can't control. And that sucks. Because I would really like to have control over that. It really sucks that I don't. Especially given how much this person just occupies my space, the space in my brain. So, and and it really is hitting me now because I had made plans with them for the future. Well, not made plans, but off the book plans, like stuff that wasn't actually planned out, but like, sure, let's do this, and I'm not sure that's going to work out. And I'm 90% sure it's because they don't see me as even that great of a friend as I do, or even necessarily someone that they want to spend that time with. So, yeah, that's what I'm going through right now. Just a fantastical time, and I don't know, maybe I'll wake up tomorrow morning and everything I'm saying right now will be proven wrong. Maybe I'll wake up and everything will be amazing. I'll get a raise at work. I'll check my YouTube analytics, and that new FNAF 3 will be bursting with views, and I'll check my phone, and that person will just be flooding my messages about wanting to see me. But until that miracle day happens, I'm stuck in the present, where that is not the reality. And I just sit and keep on dreaming. I have a journal. It's part of the reason why I started this series, because I've journaled for a while, and I thought that it'd be nice to incorporate my favorite game into that somehow, and, maybe make content out of it. Or at the very least, even if it doesn't become, like, famous content, it's still an actual record out there of who I am. It's like shouting into the void, this is who I am. And even though I know that I might never get a response back, the fact that I was brave enough to say that I did that is enough for me. But, so I had a journal. In freshman year of high school, I was gifted 3 nice leather journals that, or not leather, I don't know, it's like a synthetic material. 3 large journals made out of the synthetic material that is painted to look like the Starry Night painting from Van Gogh, who I think I mentioned is my favorite artist. And I had 3 of them, 3 of those journals, and it was at a time in my life where I was severely depressed, and the idea behind the person that gave me the journals was, oh, this is an outlet for you to express your feelings and come to terms with a lot of what's going through your brain. And at the time, the depressed version of me, the very suicidal version of me, said that when I finally wrote the last page of space in those 3 journals, that if I wasn't happy with my life, that I would end it. Which I know is very heavy material for vanilla Minecraft series, but that's what we're talking about today, is the suckier parts of living. And I spent high school filling out the first one. I wouldn't write in it every day. I would only write the important stuff. And over time, it started to be filled with little short stories or little musical motifs that I came up with on my guitar, or little confessions for myself that only I could see. And that was really important to me. And when it was filled up on the prom night of my freshman year, or not my freshman year, my senior year, I was moving out of the house that I had lived in for the past, oh goodness, it must have been the past 5 or 6 years, and that was a crazy out-of-body experience, because it was also, the day we moved out was also the day of my prom, and it was in the midst of my parents' divorce, or I guess separation at that point, technically. Doesn't really matter, but I took the journal and I went out to my backyard, where I had worked with my mother on growing fruits and vegetables and beans, and like that year we had a pumpkin patch and a melon plant and all of these beautiful things that I had learned to love. And I went over to one of the holes that my dog had dug in the yard, because we also had a vole problem, probably because of the plants that we were farming, or not farming. I guess farming is technically the right word, but it wasn't really a farm. It was like the outside raised bed garden for veggies and fruits. But I found one of the holes that my dog had dug, brought out a shovel, dug a little bit deeper, and buried the journal, that first journal, there in the backyard. And to my knowledge, it's still there today, unless the new owners have discovered it, in which case they are in for a lot, because that journal was it's the encapsulation of an emotional time for me, because high school was a very volatile time, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to say, when I was a teenager in high school, it was a very emotionally volatile time for me. But I mean, Jesus, it is. It really is. No one's lying when they say that. Being a teenager sucks. Being in high school sucks. And there are parts of it that are great, but the majority of it sucks, because your hormones are whack and your emotions are whack. People suck, and then some people are great, and then some people both suck and are great. There's this pressure from high school, and it just sucks. And if you are a high schooler watching this, I am so sorry. I am really sorry. And I know it's tough to believe me when I say this because of the topic content of this video, but it does get better if you keep just moving forward. But so, my journals. The second one, I started keeping when I went off to college, which was 3 years ago now. And that one was pretty positive, That one, at least the first half of it was really positive. I had a really great first year of college where I joined a club. The club I've talked about in the past, the Sketch Comedy Club. I had an amazing relationship that I was really happy in, and had no idea of what the future held. I was a nursing student with my high school sweetheart at the same university, and we had this perfect vision of our lives where I would graduate and become an RN. They would go on to medical school, and I would support the two of us with an apartment, and we'd take a student loan for graduate school, and then when they became a doctor, I would go back to school for my master's to flip-flop, whether in residency, and eventually we would move out to the countryside and have our high-paying medical jobs and live happily ever after. And I was going to therapy, and they were going to therapy, and I was in the best shape of my life, and I was making new friends. I was getting along very well with my roommate, and my classes were great, and I was having a fantastic time. And then my sophomore year happened, where I started getting depressed again, started to skip out on classes, started to have problems in my relationship because we were starting to grow into different directions as people, and they stopped going to therapy. I still went, but I was getting less and less appointments because the therapy that I was going to was given by the university, and so they had a limited number of resources and would only give the therapy resources to the people that needed it. And I was starting to get to the point where I didn't need it so desperately. I had gotten I was in a huge debacle with my father at the time, and we were always bickering back and forth. I mean, we still kind of are, but it's not fun. And then the beginning of this year happened. My best friend, who had been falling down the right-wing, like the red pill pipeline, fully fell in. Head first, no hesitation. And started saying weird stuff about minorities and behaved strangely whenever a member of the LGBTQ community would show up on his screen, and would just treat women very poorly, and stopped caring about me as a friend. He would skip out on getting to say goodbye to me to beg his ex to take him back. He would just never reach out and ask me how I was doing, despite the fact that I would do the same. He would get mad at me for the most random things ever and would accuse me of just the most ridiculous things. And so at the beginning of the year, I made the hard decision to cut him off. My best friend of 7 years, the person that had got me through all of middle school and high school, and we had really grown up together, and he was like family to me, and suddenly I didn't recognize him anymore. And then my relationship got worse, and that ended up breaking too. As well as my academics, I was starting to realize that I really hated nursing so much. I had zero passion for it, and it was a drag. And I was taking an anatomy class with a lab attached to it that had me looking at cadavers every Wednesday morning. And that is just such a terrible, terrible experience that is etched into my brain forever. And it was just, it gave me no passion. I had no drive for it. All I could feel was disgust and dread. Not because it was necessarily too hard. I've always been a very good student in terms of my grades, even if I haven't been necessarily a good student in terms of studying or properly assessing the material or anything like that, I've always done well in my classes. And I think that's because I am a very naturally smart person, and I've never had any issue with class before. And I certainly could have continued to do well in those classes, and I certainly could have, academically at least, and intellectually, finished it out and graduated and been perfectly fine. But I was just not happy doing it, and it was causing a severe crisis to my inner self, because I had convinced myself that that's what I wanted to do with my life. More than anything, that's what I wanted to do with my life. And like I mentioned, also at the same time, my relationship is falling apart. So not exactly a great time for me to just have and I just lost my best friend. So my entire world fell apart in the span of 3 months. Maybe 4 if you're willing to be generous. And I had friends there, but that journal really was starting to get very full of a lot of very bad thoughts. And I would fill it with a lot of very negative emotion, a lot of very hateful emotion, and it wasn't great. And I ended up burying it this summer when I decided to make an improvement for myself, where I would get back up on that horse and seize life by the horns, and I would go hiking and get outside and enjoy the fresh air. And I learned I learned like the basics of animation in Blender. I started streaming more. I started writing more. I started playing music more and getting back into my old hobbies and enjoying my music from when I was younger, and it was great. And I was at the peak of mental health over that summer, and I buried that second journal along one of the trails, because I live in a mountainous region with a lot of hiking trails, and I buried it along my favorite hiking trail about maybe 50 feet out into the woods from there. And so I've come to my third and last journal that I finally started writing in about a month ago, when I started having financial issues and I started to really become smitten, I guess, with this person that I keep on talking about. And that journal so far is full of so many different things. It's just a wild range of emotion. I like the absolute highest of highs, like when my FNAF 3 did really well, when I would do well on an exam, when I would have a great interaction with that person. And it would be filled with, I started writing poetry, which I hadn't really done since high school. And I started drawing more, which I also haven't really done since high school. And it's about an eighth of the way full right now, but it's very dense. But I was looking forward to tonight with the Geminid meteor shower, because I was going to sketch the shower as it came down. And I don't get to do that now, because if I were, the pages would get wet and I wouldn't be able to see anything anyway. But I'm starting to run out of pages, and I'm not in the same place I was in high school, where I feel an immediate sense of dread and wanting to quit everything. To use soft speak for it, like to quit, quote unquote, everything. And I'm not in that space anymore, but it still isn't a great space that I'm in. And today has been a great example of a not so good, very bad day. So, I don't know. I'll probably write about it later, honestly, if I have the energy for it. I really this feels really nice. Getting to talk about these things aloud and know that it's going to go somewhere out there. Like, it's physically out there after today. These thoughts are out of my body. Is really, really good. Because it's important to get those emotions out. You should never hold on to those negative emotions for very long. I think that I finally am beginning to understand why I was gifted those journals in the first place. And it's the same reason that I created this channel. Or not, well, no, yes, the reason why I created this channel. I was going to say the reason why I created the series, but no, this channel as well. Just get out of your own head. Get out of your own head. It is an evil, evil place. And you are your own worst enemy. And I know that sounds cliche, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. No one will ever hate you more than you can hate yourself. So why would you let yourself hate yourself that much when you could love yourself more than you could ever be loved by anyone? And I think the first steps to that is to write it down. Or put it on sheet music. Or put it in a sketchbook. Or write it on fucking AO3. In fucking Leon Kennedy fan fiction. But get it out of your brain. Because that is where it will do the most damage. And when it's on a piece of paper, or on a website, or in the notes of a song, it can't hurt you anymore. I started this video in a very negative space, talking about how much my day has sucked, and how nothing has gone right today. And as we near the last few minutes of the video, I'm in an opposite headspace, where my day still sucked. Nothing went how I wanted it to go. Literally nothing went how I wanted it to go. I cannot specify this enough. Nothing went how I wanted it to go at all. But I'm gonna be okay. Because I got the bad thoughts out of my head, and I got them out here into a space where I can not hold on to it anymore. So if you are struggling, just find somewhere to put that struggle down. And it could be the most garbage thing ever. The most ill quality thing that you've ever made in your entire life. And it will still be beautiful. And the fact that it's you and the process of getting that out. It's like a cleanse of the soul. And when you feel cleansed, you can finally start to take the steps to be better. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me how your day was. Seriously. I want to hear how your day was. I've said that the past 10 videos. But it's completely true. I want to hear how your day was. And I will read and I will reply, and if I can make you feel a little less alone, then that's exactly what I want. Make sure to get plenty to eat today. Drink plenty of water. Get some rest. Do something new. Do something fun. get out of your head. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.